I don't know who your favorite Paleo FX speaker is, but you're about to trade up because coming to the stage right now is the beautiful, the lovely, the talented Dr. Lauren Noel. Give it up for Lauren Noel, please.
Thank y'all. It's cool. Hi, everyone. So good to be here. I'm really excited to be on the Prescripticist stage. I use this all the time in my practice, so it's very appropriate, I think, given that I'm on this stage. And I literally just flew in last night, and I'm headed out right after this. I really wanted to come in and just do a quick talk. I'll have a few minutes at the end of this to answer some questions, if you guys have any questions after this. So we are talking all about food as medicine. How many of you guys believe food is medicine? Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. And as a naturopathic doctor, that's my training, I really believe that every single plate of food can be healing, not only for your body, but also for your mind, your body, your soul. Food is extremely, it's an intimate kind of experience, right? We sit down and have meals together. It's a way for us to be connected. And so I really believe that it's extremely powerful. And I think sometimes with the paleo diet, what happens is we take someone who has kind of a standard, sort of a healthier version of American diet and remove foods from it. So remove grains, remove dairy, remove legumes. And what's left is kind of just the scraps. You have a few foods left behind. Yes, you have meats, fruits, and vegetables, but I think oftentimes we don't really focus on how can we really elevate your diet and make it as healthy as it can be versus just taking out the bad stuff. So that's what my philosophy is adding in the foods that are extremely nutritious. That's why I wanted to talk to you today about sexy superfoods. So things that you can add in to really elevate your paleo diet. So my clinic, Shine Natural Medicine, as I said, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I practice in San Diego. Anyone from San Diego here? No? Just me? So if you guys are down in the area, definitely come by and say hi. I'd love to see you at the practice. We've been open about 1.5 years, and it's pretty awesome place. This is one of my favorite quotes. Health is a state of complete harmony of the body, mind, and spirit. When one is free from physical disabilities and mental distractions, the gates of the soul open. I love that. I think that, that like I said, food, it can be an experience that it connects us to who we are, and it's a way to love us. I really believe that the way you eat oftentimes is a reflection of how you respect yourself and how you love yourself. How many of you guys know that when you're not feeling so good, you want some comfort foods, right? You want some sugar, maybe some donuts, something like that to make you feel better. When you're feeling empowered, you're really loving yourself, oftentimes it's easier to reach for foods that are nutritious. And I experienced this for myself. This is about 10 years ago. I was about 30 pounds heavier. I had depression, anxiety, just brain fog. I was just sick, tired, fat, and depressed. And I had a thyroid condition and just wasn't feeling very good. And it wasn't until I learned about the power of food. I removed grains from my diet. I added in some of these superfoods, and so many amazing benefits came from that. So I think in the paleo world, we think that there's one particular superfood, and that is bacon. But I don't really think superfood is a bacon, maybe. I think I might get into a wrestle match after I finish this talk based on some of you guys' beliefs. But this is actually at my Halloween party this last October. I was bacon because I love bacon, but I think there's some other foods that could be a little bit more healing than that. I think I won the best costume, although I think Sean's afro is pretty good. So looking at superfoods, what does it mean to be a superfood? I see it as a food that is nutrient dense. So taking the most amount of nutrients per serving and getting the maximization of those particular nutrients in that food. Also, what I see as a superfood is a food that has a unique nutrient profile. So taking a food that has the most of, let's say, vitamin C, pairing that with other superfoods that have, maybe the most zinc, for example, and adding those into your diet to get the maximized kind of superfood actual diet. This was a study that was done about 5 years ago looking at nutrient density. So taking all these different foods and rating them to see what would be the most nutrient dense. And it might be a little bit hard to see, but what they did is they rated these foods and also took into account things like saturated fat and sugar and sodium. And really in the paleo world, we know that saturated fat and sodium isn't necessarily bad for you. So what if we actually keep some of those values in the mix and saw which foods were going to be the healthiest? What they found were that shellfish was actually at the top of the list, in addition to organ meats. So shellfish were given a score of 643. And organ meats were up there at 754. Compare that to whole grains. Whole grains were actually at 83. So it's a big difference, 753 versus 83, organ meats versus grains. Other foods that they also tested, so vegetables were at 352. So actually, organ meats and shellfish were found to be healthier than vegetables when it came to nutrient density. And then you take something like dried fruit. We think dried fruit's so good for you. It was actually at 85, so not as healthy as what one might actually think. So the healthiest ones, shellfish, organ meats, also fatty fish was at 622, so that was also really high up there, as well as lean fish. And those were the kind of the rock stars for that particular study. So again, looking at what is the criteria for a superfood. It's something that has a high nutrient density, but also having a unique nutrient profile that makes it kind of unique to other types of foods. So I'm going to go over my favorite top 7 sexy superfoods that I think you adding them into your paleo diet are going to give you a very unique kind of addition to specific nutrients and extra healing benefits. So food number 1 is liver. So liver is nature's multivitamin. It is loaded with vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. How many of you guys actually like liver? Wow, that's unique to this group, I think. We have like 50% of people who actually like liver. If you go to the maybe general population, I think there'd be like maybe 3-4%. Usually when I prescribe this for patients, they look at me with a scrunched face and say, you've got to be kidding me, I'm not going to eat liver. But as they eat it, it's kind of I think it's an acquired taste. So one of the arguments for liver people say is, well, doesn't it filter toxins? Doesn't it actually store toxins? I probably shouldn't eat it. In actuality, liver doesn't really store toxins, it's a filter for toxins. So, but quality is very, very important. Getting obviously grass-fed, organic, free-range animals that are happy and healthy rather than, being tortured for their life and fed pesticides. Also, liver actually does store some items which would be nutrients. So it stores vitamin A, vitamin K, vitamin E, and vitamin D. Also copper and zinc, and iron. It's loaded with iron. So this is something I'll use for patients who have anemia, for example. If a woman has a very heavy period and she is becoming pretty anemic, I will oftentimes prescribe liver for her to eat. So if you have anemia, definitely liver is amazing. If you have thyroid conditions, liver is an amazing addition to your food because for people with thyroid conditions, oftentimes you can't convert your beta carotene into vitamin A. So you're eating lots of greens or maybe carrots, but you can't convert it into vitamin A, and that's where liver comes in because it's loaded. It's just so loaded with vitamin A. Next food is camu camu. How many of you guys have actually heard of camu camu? Few people? So camu camu is, I think they should just call it camu because it's kind of redundant, but it is a berry that is found in the Amazon, and it is loaded with vitamin C. It's the highest plant food that we can see with vitamin C. It's 10 times higher than orange, so to get the same amount of vitamin C and 1 teaspoon of camu camu, you actually would have to eat 10 oranges, and you would obviously get a ton of sugar, so it's really, really packed with vitamin C. And as I was looking into this, I was thinking, okay, is it just the vitamin C that makes it great? Well, there's actually studies to show that camu camu has very unique properties to it that are a bit different than just vitamin C. So it's not just the vitamin C content that makes it really healthy. There's a couple of studies that were done on camu camu. One in particular that I thought was really interesting was looking at smoking men. So they did a study with 20 smoking men, and it was for just 7 days. They compared 2 different groups. One group was given juice of camu camu, and the other group was given a placebo, or actually was given vitamin C. And after 7 days, they found that the group that had taken the camu camu juice had reduced amount of reactive oxygen species, which is an oxidative marker testing free radical damage, also reduced CRP, which is inflammation of the body, and also reduced TNF-alpha, which is also a marker of inflammation. And they found that in the vitamin C group, they didn't see the same results. So it's pretty interesting to actually compare that it's not just the vitamin C. There's very unique properties to this particular berry that we don't really know about just yet. Next one is blue-green algae. So blue-green algae is a particular kind of bacteria that has been around for longer than we've been around. And it is loaded with chlorophyll, which is basically green sunshine. It's what you get from the sun. It's what fish eat. So fish eat this food, and that's why they have essential fatty acids. Well, why don't we just eat the food that fish eat? We can obviously eat the fish, but what about what they eat? It's obviously very healthy. Blue-green algae has been studied in reducing inflammation, so similar to camu camu, also reducing cancer risk, modulating the immune system. There's been some anecdotal evidence of using it for autism treatment. and also just really helping brain power, helping to deliver that oxygen to your brain and increasing cognition function. So blue-green algae is an amazing thing to add into your diet. The source of where you get it is actually at the Klamath Lake in Oregon, is where it's found. I actually went to school in Portland, so we would go over there to the particular lake, and very specific way that it's harvested. So that's another really amazing benefit, or another amazing superfood to add into your diet as well. Nettles is number 4. Who here has heard of nettles? Nettles is amazing. I could freak out about the benefits of nettles. When I was in naturopathic school, we harvested our own plants. And this is one that we went out and collected. How many of you guys have actually been touched by nettles before, like raw nettles? It's not very comfortable. So nettles has little pokers in the plant that have chemicals in it that induce redness and pain, and has actually antihistamine properties. So there's a few different benefits of using nettles. One in particular is for allergies. So hay fever, rhinitis, chronic rhinitis, amazing for that. So if you find that you have allergies, you can start to take this maybe a few months before the allergy season kicks in, and you'll find that your allergies will probably not be so much of a problem. The other is that nettles is loaded with nutrients, with minerals, with vitamins, with antioxidants. I always said that if I would be on a deserted island and I had one food, I would have nettles as my food. Nettles and liver wouldn't be probably a very tasty experience, but tons of nutrition. Nettles has also been used for actual chronic pain, like shoulder pain, skin pain, using it to actually, I know it sounds really painful, but hitting it on your skin can help to induce chemicals that reduce pain actually on the receptors of your skin. And then also, you can make it into food. So if you boil it down, it actually, it takes off the pain aspect of it, and you can eat it. So you can make a nettles pesto. It's been amazing. You can make nettles soup. So adding it to bone broth is an amazing way to have that as well. And so it's really a food as medicine. It's really like when I think of food as medicine, I think of nettles as the main one. It's just so incredibly nutritious. And it tastes pretty good too. Number 5 is reishi. So reishi is a kind of mushroom. Dr. Justin told me it's been used for over 10,000 years, actually. So it's been around for a long, long time. This mushroom, it looks small. That mushroom's about this big. It's humongous. I was looking at some videos on YouTube about reishi, and one woman was holding this big, huge mushroom. It was so big she had to go to Home Depot to have it sawed in half to actually show the inside of it, because it's really hardy and really, really dense. And reishi, if you look back at old art and history books, it's been used in paintings, it's been used in crown designs, if you look at different kinds of sculptures, holy men will be holding reishi because it's been regarded as a holy food. It's actually a spirit food. And in ancient times, they would say that if you would find reishi, you should keep it as a secret and not tell anyone, because it's so incredibly healing, medicinal. It's just so, so powerful. The healing benefits of reishi are pretty endless. But in a few of the different ways that it does help with healing is immune modulation. So for autoimmune diseases, it can help to balance out the branches of the immune system. And what happens in autoimmune is you have one that's high or the other that's high, and so it helps to balance it out as immune modulation. Also, reishi has been studied in cancer, so helping to prevent angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is the delivery of blood to cancer cells and creation of basically blood vessels, and so it prevents angiogenesis. And then also it's been studied to induce apoptosis. So apoptosis is just a fancy name for cell death. So it basically tells cancer cells to kill themselves, is what reishi has been studied to do. So incredibly powerful in its anti-cancer effects. And you can make it as a soup, you can get it as a tincture, you can make it as a tea. There's lots of ways to take it. And it's great, especially before a cold and flu season. If you find that you're getting sick, it's very powerful for that as well. Number 6 is oysters. Who likes oysters? Yay, it's my favorite food. I love oysters. I love going to the farmer's market and just getting like a whole plate of raw oysters. It's usually gross people out that I'm with, but I think they're so, so good. Oysters are loaded with a particular mineral. Does anyone know what the mineral is? Zinc, yes. So it's 10 times higher in zinc than any other food, 10 times higher than any other food. And the second one would be pumpkin seeds, which is, a very, very far away number 2. Oysters is amazing for helping to boost sex drive. That's why it's an aphrodisiac. It's also an immune booster. That's why zinc is so great during the cold and flu season. It helps to boost your immune system. And for skin, hair, nails, if you have any kind of skin issues, hair, nail issues, adding in oysters is such an amazing superfood for that. So I prescribe this all the time in my practice for women who have hormonal issues, or maybe a man who has a low sex drive. I'll say add in some zinc into your diet and just watch what happens. It really will help to boost things. And then number 7 of the sexy superfoods is bone marrow. I love me some bone marrow. So incredibly good. And included in bone marrow would be bone broth. So bone marrow, who here loves bone marrow? Yeah. Do they have bone broth here? They have to have it somewhere, right? Do they have it? So bone marrow loaded in minerals, loaded in collagen. It helps to boost elastin, healing. If I have patients in my practice who have ligament or soft tissue damage, I'm always telling them to have a cup or two of bone broth. It's just loaded with some of these nutrients and really helps to increase healing for those particular conditions. All right, so those are the 7 sexy superfoods. And last thing is, if you guys aren't familiar with my podcast, Dr. Low Radio, who here has heard of my podcast, Dr. Low Radio? Awesome. So I do my radio show every week. So these are a few of the guests I've had on, and I've been doing it for about 4.5 years now. It's been a lot of fun. And similar to some of the other podcasts, we have a lot of these amazing paleo type of guests, but also adding in the naturopathic treatments to it. So herbal medicine, nutrition, what are some things you can maybe make at home as medicine to help to boost your health? So please check it out. And so thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. We probably have a couple minutes for questions if anyone would like to ask any questions. If not, I will be available to answer questions individually. Yeah.
I am new to trying to like oysters for years. They've grossed me out. And recently I tried oysters Rockefeller, and I thought it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But for somebody that doesn't like oysters, do you have any tips for how to prepare it? Like if you prepare it or cook it, does it actually change the nutritional
It wouldn't
value?
change the zinc content. So the question is oysters. If you don't like the taste of them, how can you eat them? You don't have to eat them raw. I just personally like them raw, but you can eat the oysters Rockefeller, or you can make them at home. And zinc doesn't change if it's heated because it's a mineral. So it's fine either way if you're going to do it raw or cooked.
And the camu, where will you get that?
Camu, you can get it at health food stores. I know they have in powdered content. They have them at Whole Foods. So you can get, any kind of health food store, they have that. Yeah.
Just a question with the kettle. Do the nutritional properties change when you heat it up or when you boil it?
With the nettles?
Yeah, the nettles,
Yeah,
excuse me. Sorry.
So does the nutritional content change for nettles if you heat it up? If it's an antioxidant, it would change a bit. The mineral content wouldn't really change. But it's loaded in so much that heating it up, there's still going to be a good amount that's left over. Yeah.
Awesome talk, Doc. What's your favorite breakfast superfood?
My favorite breakfast superfood. Well, if Dave is watching, I would say bulletproof coffee. But I'm kind of an eggs and kale, the veggie scramble kind of girl, That's when I'll probably allow the bacon to be a superfood. I do that most
Love
mornings.
it. Cool. Awesome.
Green tea also. Yeah.
I find I'm always low in potassium, and I don't like bananas. Do you have any recommendations of foods that would be high in
Nettles
potassium?
would be a good option. Yeah,
Nettles.
to get some potassium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How do you prepare bone marrow?
How do you prepare bone marrow? In the oven? Yeah. Who here is a really great way to prepare bone marrow? Yeah? Okay, right here. Two rows behind you. She is a good way to do it. Yeah, it's pretty easy in the oven. You just pop it in there for a while, and it doesn't take long. What, like 20 minutes? 10 to 20 minutes. Yeah. Cookie sheet, just throw it in there. Pretty easy. Yeah, right here? Hold on. Yeah.
For the bone, it has to be also grass feed. For the,
Sorry, can you say it again?
it has to be grass feed.
Grass-fed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anytime you're doing any kind of animal products, you always want it to be a good source, right? You want to get organic, free range, because if you think about it, if you're eating an animal that's having just pesticides and, and different kinds of toxins in their diet, it's going to be compounded in their meat, and you're going to get that into your body. So if you had to decide organic fruits and vegetables versus meat, definitely if you're going to have one organic, you'd want to have the meat over the fruits and vegetables. So really, good question. But toxins are stored in the bones. So toxins are stored in the fat. So if you're going to be eating those fatty, bones and those tissues, the good quality is super important.
And what about algae spirulina?
Yeah.
What about that?
Yeah,
It's-
spirulina would be a good choice too. I like spirulina or blue-green algae. Their nutrient profile is pretty similar, so that would be a good option as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Where do you get nettles?
Where do you get nettles? I found it at the farmer's market. It depends on where you live. So I know up in Oregon when I lived there, they had tons of nettles. In San Diego, they had it too. So check farmers markets.
They grow here in the South. Do they grow?
Do they grow in the South? I don't know if they grow in this. I think they do. Is anyone from the South that knows if nettles grows in the South? Yeah. Oh, Asian food markets. Yeah, you get all kinds of cool stuff in Asian food markets. Yeah? Yeah. So, yeah, you can get it in the South, it sounds like.
What about turmeric?
Turmeric?
Yeah.
Yeah, so turmeric is an amazing anti-inflammatory. It was one I actually considered to have on this list. I try to find things that are maybe not talked about as much. I definitely consider goji berries, pomegranate. I mean, there's so many amazing superfoods, but turmeric is one that is absolutely, in the top 10, I would say. Anti-tumor, antiviral, anti-inflammatory. It's anti-everything, It's tons of antioxidants, so turmeric is amazing. Yeah, turmeric, the only thing about turmeric is the delivery, so the absorption is not so great if you're wanting to do it at therapeutic doses. So if you find a supplement turmeric with black pepper, that increases the absorption about 10 times. Black pepper, yeah.
One more question.
One more question? Cool. Thank you so much.